Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the Oriental Café, a podcast where we will sit at the same table to explore the fascinating worlds of Egyptian dance, personal empowerment, and halas, life. I'm your host, Joana Saahirah, world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, and author, the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School. I will meet you at the Oriental Café every 2 weeks, alone or with a guest, sharing intimate yet universal conversations. In agreement or disagreement, we will create bridges and inspire each other, because the world is only one, and so is our human soul. Ready to fall in love? Yalla bina! The biggest taboos in Egyptian dance debunked, destroyed, dismantled, eliminated in a wink. Here's the theme of this new episode of the Oriental Café podcast by yours truly, your host, Joana Saahirah. This is a very polemic, perhaps, episode that may annoy a lot of people. I'm just making a disclaimer here. What I'm going to share with you is my perspective, my opinion, my experience. It is not the universal truth. So please feel welcome to agree, disagree, share your feedback, but of course, have in consideration that everyone has their own perspective and their own experience of the life of an Oriental dancer, what it means to be involved as an amateur or as a professional in the field of Egyptian dance, which people erroneously call belly dance. Now, before I share the biggest taboos related to this art form and how we can so easily destroy them, let me make the proper presentation. This podcast is all about Egyptian dance, personal empowerment, and life, with all the juice that we can bring to the table. And of course, as usual, I like to promote, pamper, love on my people. So if you want to have exclusive access to content, insights, classes, gifts that we're only offering inside our podcast newsletter, there is no other way. You have to subscribe to it. So I am going to invite you first and foremost to subscribe to the Oriental Café podcast newsletter if you want to receive those perks. And, of course, if you want to be the first to know about upcoming episodes, I am going to share the link to the podcast newsletter alongside all the information about Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, our platform, and other beautiful things you cannot miss, either in the show notes beneath this episode in the audio platforms, or in the description box below this video if you're watching this episode on YouTube. Having clarified that, and without losing time, let's take a sip of our Oriental Café. I don't know if you could hear it, but I actually took a sip at my Oriental Café, Turkish coffee. I love it. And let's dive into the taboos that I have selected for this episode. Now, before we dive into taboo number one, let me tell you one thing. In order to be involved in the field of Egyptian dance, as an amateur, but mostly as a professional, you need a couple of things. Aside from the obvious, talent, education, preparation, professionalism, originality, creativity, persistence, so many qualities, right? But you also need to have a thick skin to deal with taboos, prejudices, and ignorance, sense of humor, not to take anything or anyone too seriously, and also the patience to educate people when you feel it's useful, or to say, yes, I eat children for breakfast when they are not interested in knowing more. So there is a maturity that you gain with time and experience that makes you deal with taboos and prejudices in a more positive light. I have been working in this field professionally for 25 years. I counted, and I was a little bit scared. That's a quarter of a century. Working exclusively for Egyptian dance, from Egyptian dance. That's crazy. First in Egypt, and then in festivals around the world, teaching, performing, lecturing, judging, you name it. And now reaching hundreds and soon thousands of beautiful women from all corners of the globe with my online platform and school. Why am I telling you this? I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you this so that we know, we are clear about where I'm coming from, and so that I make it obvious that my perspective, the one I'm going to share with you right now, is a well-informed perspective. I didn't wake up one day sharing the things I'm about to share with you. They come from direct, in-depth, long-term experience in all places, all contexts, from Egypt to the world. Now, taboo number one associated with Egyptian dance. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Okay, so the first taboo has to do with sexuality. This idea that Egyptian dance is sexual. It's a sexual or seductive dance. Now, this is one of the easiest taboos to debunk, although it is one of the most prevalent and stubborn. People believe this with all their might. I've had folks asking me if Egyptian dance was suited for children because of its sexual content. What? Breathe, say and avoid twisting somebody's neck, right? Exactly. So here's the thing. Egyptian dance is not sexual or seductive unless you make it so, and you're free to do so. Any kind of dance can be used for seduction. Any kind of dance can be turned into a sexual language if you decide to do so. But that is not the purpose and the nature of Egyptian dance. Egyptian dance is sensual. Now let's see the difference between sensual and seductive or sexual. Seductive or sexual has to do with me, the dancer, doing something to affect a target, to allure, to seduce, to magnetize, to attract, to affect, to provoke a target. I do whatever I'm doing in Egyptian dance or any other kind of dance because I want to seduce someone. I want to provoke an effect. So my focus is on the outside and I have an agenda. That's seduction, or that would be a sexual dance. Egyptian dance is sensual. And what is sensual? Sensual is the recognition of my birthright to pleasure. I don't do it to affect someone. I don't do it to seduce someone, to hit a target. I do it for myself. Egyptian dance is pleasurable. It is an organic, natural, kind, human, relaxing, intense, passionate dance style. That means there is a lot of physical, mental, and emotional pleasure available. You may take it or not. You may go deep into it or not, but it is there. It is one of the many gifts of Egyptian dance. It is a gift I offer myself. It is a recognition of self-worthiness that I offer myself, and it has nothing to do with other people seducing men or seducing women or seducing cats and dogs. Once again, nothing against it. I remember when I was working in Egypt, mostly performing and working with Mahmoud Reda as his assistant in choreography, in teaching, and sometimes teaching, but not frequently. I was focused on my performances and, of course, on my work with Mahmoud. But every once in a while, I would have requests for private classes, private groups, or one person. And my friends at the time, my Egyptian friends, fixed a group of beautiful Egyptian women, their friends and neighbors of their friends, who wanted to study with me. They had watched me perform, and they were eager to learn everything I could teach them. Now, mind you, these are Egyptian women. I'm a foreigner doing Egyptian dance, so it is a tricky situation from the beginning, right? I sat down with these beautiful women, Egyptian women, and I asked them, what do you expect from this class? Why have you subscribed to my class? And most of them told me, and that surprised the hell out of me, we want to dance like you so we can please our husbands. Pa 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 pa. Oh, terror, of course. Now, I'm not judging here. I'm just telling you things as they are. For me, that was tricky because that is not the way I see Egyptian dance. That is not the way I use Egyptian dance. So I had to explain to them that although they could use the dance however, wherever they wanted, that was not the purpose of the dance. And again, it is tricky and weird because I'm a foreigner, they're Egyptians, I'm telling them what Egyptian dance is supposed to mean. So it is weird, I agree, but it is what it is. So the first taboo has to do with this preconceived idea that Egyptian dance is necessarily seductive, when in the end, we have to realize it is sensual. And we have to know the difference between the two. The second taboo that I have dealt with the most, a very stubborn taboo that I will destroy in a second, around the subject of Egyptian dance is that it is only for women. Men cannot do it. Now, I will tell you something. There is a sensibility, there is a feminine polarity related sensibility, subtlety, heart, soul, which I believe is closer to women than to men. I'll give you that. But men and women practice it. If you go to Egypt, you will see men and women dancing it. You will see children, old people, aliens, animals. Everyone is doing it. There is no such a thing as Egyptian dance, or what people erroneously call belly dance is only for women. There is a marketing around this idea that this dance is only for women, that serves women, serves a specific kind of women. But I am not one of them, and I don't buy into superficiality and trends and easy sales. So for me, the reality is the reality, and it is exactly what I'm going to share with you. Egyptian dance is for everyone. Yes, there is a specific sensibility. Yes, there is a feminine, delicate touch to it, a feminine heart to it. There is a womb energy to it, yes, but some men have it, some women don't have it. So how do you solve that? I have seen women who have this energy, who have this sensibility, and women who don't. And I have seen men who have it and men who haven't. Furthermore, some of my best teachers were men. So how do we solve that as well? When I have studied with men, like Shokri Mohammed or Mahmoud Reda, two of my best teachers, I cannot tell you, it would be absurd to tell you that Egyptian dance is only for women. Having said that, I'm launching a question. Independently of your gender, and I don't think that gender is relevant here, are you able to move from your heart? Are you able to listen to the music from your soul? Are you able to be vulnerable? Are you able to communicate from a core, authentic place? Because that's Egyptian dance. And I don't care if you're a man, a woman, anything in between. If you're human and if you have that humanity on the surface ready to be used, if you have that heart on the surface, if you wear your heart on your sleeve, you're good to go. You are good to go, baby. The third taboo that is usually associated with this dance is the belief that you need a specific kind of body type to practice it, especially if you are a professional or if you want to become a professional. Now, I'm not going to lie, There are aesthetic expectations in Egypt, for sure, and in the Western world, absolutely. In Egypt, people expect you to have a round body, round hips, round breasts, long hair, nice eyes, big eyes, expressive face, what people may call a sexy, well-rounded body. It is expected. In Egypt and in the old Middle East, a lot of dancers, I would say most dancers, end up doing plastic surgery under pressure because they're told that if they don't do it, they're not going to thrive. In the Western world, there are also expectations on how you should look. And I have heard of dancers of color or dancers who are shorter or thinner or whatever you may like to call it, that tell me I wasn't hired because of the way I look. I wasn't hired because I'm Asian. I wasn't hired because I don't have long hair or I don't have round hips and lush breasts. I have heard that. So I am aware that's part of the reality of the markets in Egyptian dance. Personally, I never felt that what made me a strong dancer was my body and how my body looked. Other people may have thought that, and that's their problem. But I have always put my eggs in one basket, and that is the quality of my dance. My body changes, my face changes. Sometimes I have long hair or shorter hair. That does not make me a better or a worse dancer. If you invest on how you dance as opposed to how you look, you're going to build a strong foundation, a long-term legacy, and a solid base to grab yourself to. I have been told in the past that I should get plastic surgery. I remember when I first signed my contract in Lebanon to dance in Beirut, the newspapers reported back after the first show saying, yeah, she's great, but she doesn't have the Lebanese style, she's fat, and she should have some plastic surgery. People suggested more breasts, and they suggested more high cheekbones, and they suggested more lips, and they suggested whatever they thought a dancer is supposed to make in order to fit the mold. I told them, thank you very much for your feedback. I'm going to respectfully say thank you, but no. So it is up to you and up to the dancer to realize what is expected of her, but still stand her or his ground and invest in the dance, not so much in the way she or he looks. This is just my perspective. And of course, feel welcome to disagree. Drop a comment below this episode. I would love to know what you think about these taboos and how you deal with them. But for me, it's all about saying thank you. Thank you for sharing your opinion about how I look and how I should look. But I am focusing on my craft. I am not a model. I am not a plastic doll. I am a dancer. I am an Oriental dancer. So for me, it's pretty clear where my focus should be. Then we have another big taboo. And this one offends a lot of dancers. It doesn't offend me, but it offends a lot of my colleagues, which is the idea that Egyptian dance is easy. Anyone can learn it. Anyone can do it. It's very easy. I have heard dancers telling me, I watched a few videos on YouTube and I started teaching. Disaster. Or I took a few workshops and I started to perform because, why not? Let me tell you something. Egyptian dance is as challenging or easy as you want it to be. Like any other language, and Egyptian dance is a language, it requires study, it requires time, patience, and practice. But you can choose to do it superficially, poorly, or you can choose to do it right. And if you choose to do it right, it's not as easy as you think. It is pleasurable, it is fascinating, it is life-transforming. I cannot tell you how many benefits I have reaped from this dance and how many benefits my students reap from this dance. It's wonderful. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life, but it's not easy. And the deeper you want to go into it and the better you want to know it, the more demanding you are with yourself and with the craft, the more challenging it becomes, but also the more pleasurable it becomes. So when you look at Egyptian dance, you're looking at different levels of understanding and practice. Some people want Egyptian dance just to lose some weight, like Zumba, and I love Zumba, but it is not the place where I go to learn an art form. It's the place where I go to shake things up and have fun, right? Nothing wrong with it. Others want to memorize a few movements so they can show them to their friends and say, I do belly dance, whatever that means, whatever that gives them. Others want to go a little bit deeper, so they study with professional teachers. Others want to really master the language because they know there is transformation and magic on the other side. Those are the people I work with. Those are the dancers I like to work with. And in that realm, in that dimension, on that level, things are not easy. They're challenging and they're wonderful and they're life transforming. Last but not least, we have another taboo that may annoy a lot of dancers. And I have to confess, it annoyed me for a long time, okay? Only recently I could get around it and be indifferent to it. And this is the idea that every Oriental dancer, rakasa, or what people call belly dancer, whatever the hell that means, is a loose woman. A woman without morals, a woman without ethics, the kind of woman you wouldn't like your husband to be with. And I'm going to tell you a story about this. Oh my God, is she going to spill the beans? She's going to spill the beans. A few years ago, while I was still performing in Cairo, a dancer came from abroad, well-known dancer. She was studying with Mahmoud Reda. I was working and studying with Mahmoud Reda, so she invited me to check the recordings she was doing in a musical studio. So she was with her husband recording a CD with Egyptian musicians, and for some reason she invited me to check the recording, to watch a little bit. It happened that when I went to the studio, her husband was there, and she told me to my face, I never forgot it, that she would never leave me alone in the same room with her husband. Of course, at the time I was startled and I was naive, so I asked, why not? I mean, is your husband a serial killer? Should I be afraid of him? It took me some time to realize what she meant. And what she meant was exactly what this taboo claims, that if you are a professional Oriental dancer, what people call belly dancer, you are not to be trusted. You're someone without dignity, without self-respect. You're someone without ethical values, without morality. How do we deal with this? Now, let me be honest. Egyptian dance and Oriental dancers have been historically linked with amorality and even prostitution. Yes, they have. And if you know the history a little bit, and if you go back to 18th century, 19th century, 20th century, thinking about the history of the Awelem, the history of the Khawazi, you will know that there has been this long-term association between Oriental dancers and prostitution, Oriental dancers and seduction. That is a fact, and that is still true. That is still true of work, at least in Egypt. While I was performing in Egypt, I dealt with sexual harassment, proposals of prostitution in exchange for job opportunities. I had to run away from Lebanon because I was being harassed by the person who hired me, a big shot impresario who thought he could buy me. So I am not a stranger to this reality, but I'm also aware that it all goes down to the person. The problem is not in being an Oriental dancer. The problem is not in the dance. The problem is in the person that you are and what you do in exchange for opportunity, success, and fame, and money, of course. What do you do in exchange for those things? So don't blame it on the dance. This is something that Mahmoud Reda used to tell me all the time. Don't blame it on the dance. Don't put it on the dance. It all goes down to the people practicing the dance. How respectful are you? How much of your personal values speak of honesty, dignity, self-respect, right? Pride in who you are. What kind of person are you really? Because that's what's gonna make you an amoral or a moral Oriental dancer. That's what's gonna make you say yes or no to proposals that don't dignify you as a woman and you as a dancer. So it is not true that every Oriental dancer is a loose woman. I have met a lot of amazing Oriental dancers who were incredible, respectful, intelligent, proud women. And I have met a lot who played the game and who exchanged their body in favor of the fame, the opportunities, and the ambition they have in their heart. And I'm not judging. I am not judging. Everyone is free to do what they want with their body and with their dignity, and we're all different. What I'm saying here is that this direct association is a fallacy. It is simply not true. It is not a fact. And I can speak for myself, but I can also speak for a lot of my colleagues who have not bought into this game, into this dance that tells us, yes, you will be a star. Yes, you will be known. Yes, you will be successful if you sell your soul to the devil. They haven't bought into this game. They have said, no, there are other ways. I'm a dancer. I'm not a prostitute. I'm a dancer. I am not a sellout, and I'm going to make it my way. Is it harder to do it your way without selling your soul to the devil? Yes, it is. It is. You have to work harder. You have to be more talented, more professional, more persistent than everybody else. But it is possible, right? This is the last taboo that I would like to share with you. And once again, it all goes down to how well we know the dance, how well we know ourselves, how confident we are in ourselves, and how much we can laugh about the ignorance and the nonsense that has always surrounded this specific dance field. At this point, I can laugh about it. It wasn't always like this. It takes time and experience and maturity to be able to laugh about it. And to close this episode, I'm going to tell you one more story. Not long ago, a couple was asking my husband if what I did, whatever I did, forbidden and naughty, was indicated for children. Thankfully, I was not there. Otherwise, that lunch would have turned into something interesting, to say the least. But here's what I can tell them and tell you. No, it's not suitable for children, because Oriental dancers eat children for breakfast. How about that? That's me and you laughing about the nonsense and the ignorance. Everyone has the right to be ignorant about Egyptian dance, the same way I'm ignorant about agronomy, the atomic bomb. I am ignorant about so many things. Why wouldn't other people be ignorant about Egyptian dance? It's fine. If they want to learn and if they want to get educated, let's go, let's do it. If not, we're going to keep laughing and we're going to keep enjoying this magical, naughty, slightly forbidden dance of ours. I want to know all about it from you in the comments to this episode. Share your feedback on the taboos surrounding Egyptian dance and how you have dealt with them. I want to know all about it. And once again, I'm going to invite you to join our podcast newsletter as well as our school newsletter if you want to know more about authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. All the information about both newsletters and other delicious links including one that takes you to free content in our website, are shared either in the description box below this video or in the show notes below this audio episode. I love you so much. It has been a pleasure to share this coffee with you at the Oriental Café podcast. I will see you in our upcoming episode with a brilliant guest. You cannot miss it, baby. Love you, see you, and dance with you very soon. Mwah.